A man came to me and said, the small town you wrote about in this book sounds exactly like my town in Mississippi. We also have snakes, they have rattlesnakes, there's homophobia, and there's sexism.
Hey, it's Emily Waiwu. Today we speak with author Kevin Chen on his book, Ghost Town. We'll talk about superstitions, ghosts, and the idea of home. This is Cover to Cover. Welcome back to Taiwan, Kevin. You live in Berlin, so we really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Now you have 13 language editions.
Yes.
With readers across North America, across Europe, and across Asia.
Thank you.
And this version here, the English edition by Darry Sterk, it was then longlisted for the Pen Translation Award.
You know, when we published the book, I expected if I could sell 300 copies would be great. And, 200 of them actually would have been bought by my sisters because I have 7 of them, They always support this little brother who is actually a sad writer who cannot sell any books. Most of the time, books don't really sell because, I travel with the MRT here in Taipei. I don't see anyone reading, because everyone is obsessed with their phones. They're doing fun stuff like games and Korean K-pop dramas and everything, which is okay.
Well, you are much loved. And this story is so well loved.
Thank you.
This is such a saga. The book opens with the protagonist, whose name is very similar to yours.
Yes.
His name is Keith
Yes.
Chen. And he returns to his small town
Yes.
in Taiwan.
Yes.
He just finished prison sentence
Yes.
in Berlin
Yes.
For the killing of his boyfriend. And now he's on his way home. He comes from a large family, just like yourself.
Yep.
And he doesn't know who's going to be there.
Yep.
The story is told through multiple perspectives.
Yes.
From the living
Yes.
to the dead.
Yes.
And throughout this, we learn about his town,
Yep.
where you're from, which you dub Ghost Town, which is kind of like a crappy place, a place that nobody ever wants to go.
Or something negative.
We witness the economic rise of Taiwan, modernization, globalization, but you beautifully then pitted against these strict social and cultural norms where the characters have to abide by. It brings them so much pain.
Yep.
When you were in college, you read a lot of Shakespeare,
Yes.
William Faulkner,
Oh, yes.
and James Joyce.
Yes.
And you said that reading literature is a great way, is a window into a different culture.
Oh, yeah.
What is the Taiwan you're presenting, do you think?
First of all, I had no idea that this book could be translated into so many languages, seriously. And the fact that this book, Ghost Town, actually became a bestseller in South Korea, in Vietnam as well, and actually in Ukraine as well. And in these countries, they sell really well. This book actually brings me to these places. This year, I was in Seoul for the book fair because the book, was basically a sensation there. And Taiwan was the guest of honor on the book fair.
That's right.
Which is amazing because honestly, it's a political decision, because this decision could piss off a lot of people. But they did it anyway. So a lot of writers from Taiwan, we went there and they flew in from Germany. And it was just amazing. I'm writing about a very small town. That town is called Yongjing. It's a real town where I grew up.
Today, it's about a population of 35,000.
It's really in the middle of nowhere, like rice fields. But when I was in Vietnam, people showed up and they told me that this town is exactly like their hometown in Vietnam.
Yeah.
So they didn't need any explanations or background. They can just directly go into this world of a Taiwanese small town because a Taiwanese small town is exactly like a small town in Vietnam. And interesting enough, I was doing the book tour in New York City. One man actually came to me and said, I've never been to Taiwan, but I just want to tell you that the small town you wrote about in this book called Yongjing sounds exactly like my town in Mississippi, where we also have snakes, they have rattlesnakes, there's homophobia and there's sexism. And so it's difficult for sexual minorities to even survive. So turned out that my ghost town is everybody's town, which is something I still don't understand.
Taiwan prides itself in social progress.
Yes, of
right?
course.
In 2019, Taiwan became the first country in Asia to legalize same-sex marriage. Taiwan also prides itself in the participation of women in politics. So by all these metrics, we can look at Taiwan as a place that is so progressive and open. But here you do present a Taiwan that is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Because this is an oral fiction. So it's roughly based on my own upbringing, my own background. It's an actual town. So I was born in the year 1976, What happened in 1976? There were still martial laws. What does it mean? Martial law is a very complicated political system, but basically you cannot express your opinions. Freedom of speech simply didn't exist. And also sexuality and genders were very much regulated. Men with long hair would have been arrested on the street. It was not written in the law, like men should not have long hair or something, but it was just, because in that society, people believe that men should be macho and they have to be manly because what is the ultimate goal? Because it was a military preparation. They wanted to go back to China, So in that was the system that where men had to be macho. So that was the time. So I'm writing about the past. Sure, we're in a different place right now. We're in a beautiful place right now in Taiwan, really. We can express our opinions and I can write about everything, literally everything.
And you did.
Yes, I did. And I don't have to worry about censorship at all. We can publish everything in Taiwan. I can basically criticize my government, my country in my writing, and I'm bringing you the stories from the 70s and 80s and 90s, telling you that this is what happened. This book is a reminder for myself and for everyone that this is what we went through and we have to treasure and value what we have now.
But it's a really lively book. It is so loud, just from reading the book, that this author must be from an incredibly large family.
Yes, I am.
Where everything is chaotic and everything sounds like it's a fight, but this is how people express love to one another.
Yes. In Taiwan, the thing is, I don't know about you, Emily, but do you say I love you to your parents and to your people?
No.
Not really, right? So I have 7 sisters, So why do I have so many sisters? Easy. So in order to get a son, they try 7 times without success. And then eventually they have my brother. And people always ask me this, your parents, they already got a boy. Why did they still have you? Because I was born in the year of 76. That was the year of dragon.
You were a dragon baby.
Yes, I'm a dragon baby. So, just imagine this. It's the year of 75 and they were like, oh, if we work hard right now, we might get a dragon boy.
I think that still exists. I think people are still wanting for only boys.
Which is silly because daughters are the best. Really, sons. I'm sorry to tell you that in this culture, sons are terrible people, because we're spoiled, we're pampered. But daughters, that's why I write about so many women in this book. Because I love Taiwanese daughters and moms and aunties, they're the foundation of this nation, seriously. And they have amazing stories. I'm just really grateful that I grew up actually in a woman environment.
How so? How did you grow up in a feminist household?
Feminism didn't exist when I was growing up, and all the women in my family, they were unwanted. So I was just naturally pampered and spoiled in this family because I was a boy, But something fishy happened. Even my sisters, they said that, even when you're a baby, we realized there's something weird about you. I mean, by that, they mean, oh, there's a gay baby right there. But they couldn't put the words out because that was the time. They couldn't just, put the finger and say, my little brother is gay, but they just took care of me. And of course, because I was different, seriously, I wanted to become a poet. I wanted to become a ballet dancer. And I was dancing around all the time. I was just naturally weird in a small town.
You became a writer, and with performance art, you were an actor too.
I just want to say that because women in Taiwan, they work so hard, because they were underappreciated. But, because of that, they work even, they have that extra mile to fulfill. And they work so hard. And they really inspire me in every possible way. So looking back, I must say that a lot of sisters of mine, they were actually early feminists. They thrived in their own ways, and in the patriarchal system, they found their path, continued their journey, became moms, and they became professional people, and it's just inspiring in every possible way.
And so I thought it was so important that you wrote this because it's no longer just family history for each of us. It's not just oral history, it's not just gossip, but it's so validating to read about these women's lives written down.
What is storytelling? It's representations. We're giving people stories.
There's a moment in the book where the mother, there's been enduring bullying from her mother-in-law.
Yes.
And it's unbearable.
Yeah.
But the moment that she herself becomes a mother of multiple children, all of a sudden she clicks into that role and she becomes a copy of
Yes.
the
Yeah.
women before. And so this kind of intergenerational trauma can be so difficult to break.
Yeah, I know this is it's horrible because that's exactly what happened in my family, right? Because my mom was the wife of the first son in that big family. Of course, she is carrying on that terrible patriarchal values with her because that's the time. And just to survive, she had to, continue those values. My mom is no longer with us; she's gone. But I had a feeling that in her lifetime she never really got emancipation, really. So I'm just happy now to see that my sisters now they're getting older. I do believe that I see some kind of emancipation. So I do see a lot of hopes. I'm talking to young girls now in Taiwan. They are a whole new generation. They have this confidence, which is for me a brand new thing, because the confidence I saw in them is something I never saw in my sisters. And so they were brought up with love and appreciation, and the world is telling them that you're girls, but you can make things happen. And I think, that gives me a lot of hopes. I'm pretty sure like in 20 years, someone will write a book called Ghost Town, but it would be a total different narrative, a total different perspective. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. Keith, your alter ego in this book, we're up against, it's not just sexism, it's not just homophobia, hate crimes, but there's also a very strict social rule and social norm that they had to abide by.
Sure.
And this has a lot to do with the ghost theme that's in here. Things like temple culture, things that dictate when you can swim, when you can cut your hair, when you can move. There's actually a calendar that dictates it. You have to consult the calendar for any big life decisions. Right. So a lot of this is not really a religious thing. It's just kind of a cultural thing.
It's a daily thing. The culture of ghosts and superstitions in Taiwan actually has an indelible impact on our bodies. Really, our daily, I would say, behavior. For example,
this still exists today.
Even for the young generations, for example, what do we do when we check into a hotel? What do? We knock on the doors because we believe that there are ghosts in every single hotel rooms. And by knocking on the door, we're giving them a sign of warning or a sign of respect or something. And they might, leave the room and just leave us alone. I enjoy swimming very much, but doesn't mean that I'm a good swimmer. I'm a horrible swimmer. But why is that? Because when I was a kid, I wanted to, learn swimming. But my mom said, no, you cannot. Because there's 水鬼, water ghosts. You're going to drown because of them. Oh my God, there are ghosts in the water. And I was really scared. So, superstitions, it's not exactly like a religion, but it's everywhere. It's in every corner. Like, in every school, there's always this legend that there are ghosts in the toilets.
Yes. Ours was our statue of Chiang Kai-shek would walk at night.
Yes.
If you stay late in school, he'll eat you. He'll come and eat you.
Yes. We had that legend as well in our school. Yeah. So the thing is, it's everywhere. Yeah. It's a way of living. Because bedtime stories are honestly a Western thing. And that's what I believe in. But my mom would actually give me some bedtime stories. But her bedtime story was actually something to scare me. She was like, if you don't close your eyes now, go to sleep, some evil ghost is going to get you and you're going to die. So it was like a 10-second story. And there's basically a warning that shut up and sleep. Otherwise, you're going to die because some evil ghost were going to grab you, And that was a thing. That's the way of living in Taiwan. And it's fun, actually, because you talk about this calendar. It's called Yellow Calendar. It's like Huang Li. And to this day, I know a lot of people, when they move to a new place, they have to consult this calendar when they're getting married or the big decision in your life.
We have one here, actually.
Yes. And if you really go into that, you realize that, it has a lot of respect for your traditional values,
Yeah.
and you should just be careful with other people's spaces and all these things.
If you don't do this, there may be bad luck. If you swim, there's going to be water in the ghost.
Yes.
If you take a walk at night, you'll run into the ghost.
Yes.
It creates this culture of fear,
Yes.
which then prompts you to abide by the social rules that are told to you.
Okay, growing up, all the ghost stories, I realized one thing, that most of the protagonists in these stories are actually women. Did you realize that?
Yes.
In a woman ghost, they're lost and they're kind of evil and they're taking revenges and they could be hurting you and things. I think that's sort of an answer for the patriarchal society. Like women, when they were human beings, they didn't have power, but somehow after death, they possess a newfound power, which will allow them to go through the walls, to travel through time, to, take revenge on people, especially on men, and scaring people. And they became so powerful that we need to establish fears just for them. And so, yes, like going back to this calendar, if you look at this calendar from the perspective of gender studies or whatever, you realize that a lot of taboos are actually for women. And women shouldn't do it. Like, for example, when women are having their periods, like monthly periods, a lot of temples actually do not welcome them.
You talk about how ghosts have memories.
Yes.
And in here, you have perspectives from every member of the family in here, right? So there's 2 parents, 5 sisters, and 2 brothers.
Yes.
And in one of them comes from a dead person.
Yes.
And there's a passage I would love for you to read.
Really? Sure.
Yes,
Let's do
it's
that.
about memories. Okay, so
Ghosts speak. I'm a ghost. How appropriate for a ghost like me to speak about ghosts. I died, but I still exist. Here I am, talking to myself. My existence isn't in light, sound, or shade. It's not a physical phenomenon. Science cannot prove it. There are no units to count it. It is unquantifiable, immeasurable. Memory is the medium of my existence and my transmission. Through my memory and others' memories, I am present. Here and now, I cling to memory like a parasite. Anywhere there is memory and stories to be told, that's where I reside.
thank you.
Thank you so much. What is a ghost? It's the past. It's something you cannot, really grasp. It's the traumas from the past. It's something that is constantly haunting you. So I'm using this, as an analogy for many, many things in this book. And I call it a ghost town, which seriously aggravated a lot of people in my hometown. People because they didn't read the book. If you read the book, you realize it's actually a love letter to my hometown.
You tried writing this book once when you were 33.
Oh, yeah,
years old.
you know that. Yes.
But then it took you 10 years to finally write it.
Well, I got older.
So you have more perspective now on
know.
life and longevity.
When I was 43, I realized something. Oh my God, now I am at that place. So I started again, and this time I just couldn't stop. I sat down, and it took me about 6 to 7 months, and I finished the first draft. And that very first draft is the book that we read today. We never changed. I was being very honest, and I was trying very hard to bring authenticity into this book. And I believed that I could create a lot of conversations with the story. And then things happened. So I just want to tell people out there, if you're being just really truthful to yourself, and just tell us your stories in a very brutal way, because brutality is actually beautiful in literature. Just break all the boundaries and tear down all the walls, and you realize that you might go to a very interesting place.
I love the breadth and the depth of this. It spans through 4 generations.
Yes.
It's kind of like 100 years of solitude. But the
yeah.
details in which you portrayed, and for every family dynamic, every interaction, every secret that's not told, but every thought of secrets wanted to be told, but then held back. In that case, and somebody I do think about in that case is Alice Munro.
Oh,
the way she writes about
Oh my
families.
gosh. Oh my God. I never thought that Alice Munro could be thrown into a conversation with me because that's, because I admire her really. I did. I actually, because in Taiwan as a boy, I had to serve in the military almost 2 years. And how did I go through those 2 years? So I read a lot, and I read a lot of Alice Munro. Just really, her books really got me through a lot of difficult moments. And so, and secrets, I love secrets, really.
Every chapter has a secret
yes,
that gets unveiled.
Yes, and I love the idea of having Easter eggs everywhere. You have to just stick with me. You have to stay with me until the end of the book. Otherwise, you have no idea what's going on with the story, because I have a lot of really reveals at the end, which will, I'm sure, shock you. Even my translator, Darry Sterk, for the English translation, when he was reading the book, he got to the end. He was like, what? This is what? He's what? And that, coming from the translator who had to live with the book for some time, I was like, this is the best compliment.
Anything from betel nut trees to star fruits to white terror to a moment of Tiananmen Square.
Yes.
But funny, weird moments like a hippopotamus.
Yeah.
Right? So it's so much fun.
Yeah.
But what really ties it together is these brilliant characters that you've created. I also spend a lot of time abroad. So part of me also saw that. Maybe also that this is kind of you writing from abroad, thinking about Taiwan in this way.
It's a way of reminiscing, seriously, because I must be frank with you. So if I were still living in my hometown, there was no way for me to finish the book because it's simply too close. When it comes to creativity, you need some kind of distance. Gives you a brand new angle, and it's a comfortable place to go into storytelling, because the thing is about reminiscing is that the power of reminiscing is that it creates imagination. Let's not forget the power of a fiction. It's fictional, doesn't mean it's not true. Fictions can be like the entire truth. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed reading this, and I can't wait to read the new translations. I know there's a couple of new ones coming out for the next books.
Yes.
So now, my final question to you.
Yes.
As a way of paying forward, after reading your book, what books should they read?
I would like to recommend those Taiwanese books which were already translated into English.
Yeah.
Yang Shuangzi Taiwan Travelogue, of course. Wu Mingyi.
Yep.
So, he is someone we really respect a lot in Taiwan.
Yep.
So,
Wu Mingyi of the Stolen Bicycles.
The man with the compounded eyes and everything.
He's also translated by Darry Sterk.
Yeah, we have the same translator. He's very different from me. He's like a quiet person. He's a professor in the university. He's very serious, and he's also a farmer, because he actually has a piece of land in Hualien where he, grows his own fruit and rice and everything. But he's someone I really admire. He's always my go-to books.
Okay.
When I'm feeling like, okay, I need some inspirations, he is really amazing. After Yang Shuangzi and Wu Mingyi, I would say that, because seriously, we don't have that many translations, I mean, a book that is lucky enough to be translated into English really is a rare gem out there. So if you ever see an English translation of Taiwanese literature, just go grab it and pay for it, because it's something that is rare.
Thank you so much for that, Kevin.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for talking about your book from cover to cover.